Hello, everyone. My name is Tooways Asma. Welcome to another episode of Tooways to Skin a Cat, a show where we talk career experiences, entrepreneurship, and investments. The main aim is to show that there's more than one way to be successful other than just climbing the corporate ladder. We are live on LinkedIn and YouTube, and the show will be available on podcast by tomorrow. For those who are listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify, please leave a rating for the podcast. Now, if you're joining us live, drop a one in the comments so that we know we're not talking to ourselves, and drop a two in the comments if you are watching the recording. My guest for this week is Muhammad Fareez Davids, a chartered accountant who is passionate about alternative asset investment. He's involved in private equity, venture capital, real estate, and even infrastructure. He was also an academic trainee at UCT. Fareez, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Joyce. It's good to be here.
Let's jump straight into the meat of it. Tell us your story. Where do you come from? And even outside of work, who is Fareez Davids? Give us that backstory.
So thanks, Joyce. I think in terms of background, born and bred Cape Townian, did all my schooling in the Western Cape. Went to, high school at Western High School. And I think I always had an inclination that I was, good with numbers. And the accounting profession is always one of those things that they say is a good thing to move into, good job security. And I took that on and went into applying at UCT and Stellenbosch. My first choice was actually actuarial science, but I think I dropped it on the first day and changed because I knew I was more finance and accounting orientated and jumped on that bandwagon. Did the 4 years at UCT and then did honors in accounting for my first year at UCT. And then after that it was, do you want to go do 3 years at Deloitte Cape Town or go to a bank or do academic articles? And throughout my, university career, I tutored and I enjoyed the aspect of helping students and developing a different skill of lecturing and engaging in public speaking and things like that. And it was a good opportunity for me to further my studies as well, where I could do my master's. And I just thought to myself, how do I differentiate myself from all the other CAs at the end of the road? And getting a master's and learning a different set of skills was a good way of doing that. And then I went in to do my 2 years at Deloitte. And I always knew during my 2 years, of doing and as well as doing academic traineeship, I didn't want to go into audit and be an audit manager. And I knew asset management, they always said it's a good way of learning about a lot of things. And I always have a keen interest to learn and gather information. And not taking the conventional route of applying on LinkedIn and things like that. I just started Googling who are the biggest asset managers in Cape Town, and I knew I wanted to be based here. And I just started emailing the infos and HRs. Here's my CV, here's my transcript. Keen getting that general purb of you guys are one of the biggest, and please can you hire me? And Future Growth took a chance on me, and I went straight into the private equity and venture capital team. We have been now for 2.5 years. Outside of the corporate space, I try to keep active, still playing a bit of rugby. Lots of my friends and families are saying that you got to give up now with the body's getting a bit old, but I'm going to hang on for a bit longer. And I try and spend as much time with families and friends as well, given the busy lifestyle that my work demands.
I suppose you play that rugby until you can't play anymore.
Yeah.
But talk to us a little bit about your academic training experience. So I know, most people that I chat to end up going, who do academic articles, they end up going back to academia after articles. Did you end up in investments?
Yeah.
Was that the plan, or why did you decide, let's go investments?
So I think, the reason for doing, academic articles was, I did a bit of research of your first year of traineeship at the Big Four, and I was signed with Deloitte. And the work that they say that you can pick up the work quite easily in terms of your first year doing a lot of bank testing, OPICs, and very, introductory type of audit work. So for me, it was like, I think I can pick that up in my second year. What's something else that I can do? And academic articles gave me that, ability to try something else and get a bit of different experience, whether it's you engaging with a student. And for me, I always enjoyed seeing how you could help a student along their journey. They struggled in the first term, and then you can get them to a pass or doing well at the end of the year. And I think that experience has helped me a lot. And I guess the knowledge that I've gained and getting a deeper understanding of tax. So I had a deep focus on tax when I was at UCT in the academic traineeship, and that just also gave me a different level of expertise going into the auditing world, and it's helping me now even in investments.
Okay. And so it sounds like investments was always the plan, but you used it as an
Yeah.
opportunity. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and a big
So,
part of the academic traineeship was, I guess, you could further your studies. It's a good opportunity when we know the university subsidizes part of your master's studying, and I knew that I needed to get it done in a year because it's going to be difficult to complete your master's in your second or third year of articles with APC coming as well. And I just took that upon. I got to get this done, and it's going to be good for myself to, I guess, learn more things. And I guess the common theme for me was, how do I better myself coming to the end of articles? This 8 years are going to come to an end, and what's going to make me as employable as possible into the different positions that I'm interested in.
okay, that makes sense. What I notice is, I mean, in going into the investment space, there's not that many jobs available as for
Yeah.
example, in auditing. So for those who are similar to you, coming from maybe doing articles, or even if they're just coming out of university, doing articles, what's the best way to get into the investment industry?
So I think the skill set, the hunger for learning. I think when I did a few interviews around with some of the asset managers, the common thing was the hunger for learning. I think whether it's listed equity, private equity, credit, or anything along those lines, it's the hunger for learning, and how can you demonstrate that to a potential recruiter? Whether it's you reading business books or listening to good podcasts, or you're trying to better yourself through whether it's doing CFA, Kaya, or FRM, or these types of things. I think you got to show that you've either differentiated yourself from a learning perspective, or practically you're doing it in yourself. I mean, easy equities as demo accounts. It's not about necessarily about the amount of money that you have. You can demonstrate that I have a track record. It's paper money, but I've shown that I can execute a strategy over 2 years, and it's showing that interest throughout your, I guess, your university career, where a lot of people are being exposed to the finance side, and I guess that's how you can show to potential recruiters and these asset management companies that you are interested. And I think a common theme is I think, do the work as well, do as best as you can throughout university, and a good, if you, from an academic point of view, if you can push yourself and do the best you can and supplement it with these additional learnings, you should be in a good space to enter the market.
To me, it almost sounds like it's not the logic, like it's not as easy as auditing, but you have to put in the work to get what you want.
100%, 100%, 100%. And it's whether it's and it's dedicating time to, whether it's listening to podcasts or working on these other things, and it should be something that interests you, where it's not a thing of I need to do this. It's rather I want to do this. At the end of the day, I want to listen and upskill myself, and I enjoy learning about successful entrepreneurs that have scaled businesses or successfully rolled out a business plan from South Africa to America, and how did they go about doing this, and building that nuggets of information and gold, and how do I implement this into the businesses that I do analyze, and that's how you ultimately help entrepreneurs in my space to scaling the businesses and executing on the business plans that we envision with them.
Okay. Something I noticed, sorry for the audience, we'll be responding to questions towards the end, so please add your questions to the comment section so that we don't miss them. Now that you're in venture capital, private equity, and you're doing a little bit of alternative investments, it seems to give you the opportunity to be on boards of companies. Most people or most chartered accountants only get that opportunity maybe later on in their careers to be on boards. How does being on a board so early in your career help improve your skills?
Wait, you just cut that there a bit. So you said about the board of directors. You just cut
So
that for
I
the last
said,
like 10
how
seconds.
does being, no worries, how does being on a board so early, relatively earlier on in your career than most people, how does that help you to grow, or how does that improve your skills?
I think so at Future Growth in our team, we have a very flat structure. So you're given the opportunity at a very young age. And I think I think you got to take that with two hands. And for me, that's been one of the best experiences as part of the job that I'm at now. I get to engage with, I guess, industry leaders and pupils at the forefront of the sectors that they are in, whether it's financial technology, property, education, and you're just soaking in this information from these guys at these board meetings. And one of the things that I've needed to learn is you got to have the confidence to share your view as much as the fact that you are young. I think the point of a board of directors is that you have a diverse skill set and you have different opinions, and you got to be confident enough in order to voice your opinion, but you got to back that up with evidence and doing the work that substantiates the view that you're going to have. And I think it's you at a board of director level, you are, I guess, seeing everything that from a strategy, financial, operational, that makes a business tick. And I think you can only take that forward into other boards that you are on, and into, I guess, if I want to start a business myself down the line, these are the learnings that I'm going to take with me.
I think that's a real benefit that I don't see lots of people in corporate getting. So that's great if anybody's thinking of going into the industry. Now again, venture capital and might be sort of similar to private equity, but it's not the same. And then real estate and infrastructure, each requires like a different perspective and a different way of thinking about investing. How do you switch between each when considering each one? Because you can't look at the same. I mean, you can't apply the same across the board.
No. And it's for me, and I guess it's a question I ask myself all the time, because you're switching hats between portfolio companies each day, and venture capital is way more risky, and there's not going to be necessary financial processes in place that you knew of when you were auditing. There's not going to necessarily be a HR manager that's signing off paid all the founders doing it. And I think for me, it's you got to figure out, then once you almost like was compartmentalized, when I'm dealing with my venture capital portfolio, this is the risk spectrum. These are the issues that generally come up, and I got to tailor my whether it's solutions or assistance in that way. And it's the only, I guess, way I've known. I mean, after articles, I've moved into future growth. I've only known that you have to be comfortable and you've got to be flexible enough in switching between private equity, venture capital, and real estate. And for me, it's building up I think there's a good skill set that can be developed, because you're able to learn the different skills across the different verticals that I guess we are investing in, and you can apply the nuggets of information into the private equity and venture capital space. For example, private equity companies, for us, it's way more established. You have good EBITDA, cash flows, paying out dividends, but these companies are generally quite stagnant. And how do you grow these companies further? You got to maybe potentially adopt a more of a venture capital type mindset, and where are we going to try and grow the business successfully? Whereas in a venture capital space, you can try and bring some of the controls and learnings from your private equity exposure into the venture capital space of, this is good governance. We need to have resolutions for these types of things, because, I mean, we're going to be audited. SARS could come, and we need to have things in order as a board of directors or as shareholders in the company. So I think seeing all the different verticals allows you to look back and reflect, and how do I apply these different learnings in the different sectors that we invest in.
So although the mindset is different, you can apply the learnings across the different portfolios. Okay. That's good.
Because I think, I mean, ultimately in each of these businesses, you're trying to, I guess, get a good IRR and a good return on your investment. And venture capital, for example, expects the highest return on investment. And how do we leverage that into your private equity businesses? Because as much as venture capital is more risky, we try to generate the highest IRR in any way possible across each investment, but there's obviously certain caps that sit across each of the different sectors.
Okay. I want to touch a little bit on what you mentioned earlier. You mentioned that you did your master's, and I see you did your master's degree in finance. You were lecturing in tax.
Yeah.
So my question is, why did you choose that topic? Yeah. And where did you find the time in between lecturing, dealing with students, writing ITC, and whatever else was going on?
So I think so as you said, I think I always had an inclination or moving towards going into investments. And we had an option of doing a master's in applied finance. You had a master's in accounting, and you had either a postgrad diploma in tax. So for me, it was I'm interested in finance. I know it's going to be a lot of work, but that's the one that's going to give me a better skill set to move into the investment space. And I guess time management was tough. There was a degree of flexibility, obviously, within the academic trainee space, because you're tutoring and then you have lectures, but it's not, I would say, like an auditing experience, it's 8 to 5. You have those gaps where you can maybe go to the library, work on your thesis or do some coursework for your master's, and then you have your lectures in the evening. But it was, I guess, for the first 6 months, we were going 8 to 8 generally because of lectures in the evening for masters, because we were doubling up on courses. But for me, I knew I needed to get the master's done in 1 year, and I pushed myself to do that because I didn't want that rolling over into the second or third year of articles, because it's quite hard to get back into the swing of studying once you leave university. So I guess I had to make that commitment and promise to myself to get it done.
Okay. I want to move over to some questions from the audience because I see questions are coming through. We've got a question from Casey Cock who says, what does a typical work day look like for you?
Okay. In terms of time or in terms of, okay, there are two parts, time and work. I think work is, I was telling you guys before we jumped into the call, it's a very fluid and flexible environment. No day is the same. You can walk in with a game plan of this is what I want to do today, but you can get a call from a portfolio company saying that I got to meet wages at the end of the week and you need to do an emergency investment committee to get cash into the business to sustain it, or you're working on a valuation report, or you're working through management accounts, looking at strategy documents, or prepping for a board meeting. And you got to be, I guess, quite strict on yourself and efficient, because you're working potentially with 20, let's say 15 different tasks all moving at the same time, and each of your portfolio companies think or believes that they're the most important portfolio company in your life, and you got to be good at managing expectations and communication, especially because there's a big social aspect in, I guess, private equity and venture capital, which is a lot more, has a lot more touch points than listed equity. And you got to be engaging with founders and keeping them up to date as to where you are, and continuously learning and evolving with the business once you've invested. And it is a lot of work. I don't want to debate that. And there's a lot of hours that are put in, but I guess for me, the experience and learnings that I'm getting over these 2.5 years now has been so good. And because I've looked at 4 different industries or 5 different verticals, I could potentially move into this down the line if I want to specialize. But I'm, I guess, just happy I'm learning and engaging with different topics and new businesses every day.
This is a question I like to ask my guests. What is one piece of advice you would give your younger self?
One piece of advice for Fareez Davids back then. Are we going back to university days, or like
whenever you feel like you needed it the most?
I think one piece of advice, I think for me it's advice. Your hard work pays off. I think a thing of work ethic. I think for me is always going to outstrip talent. It's make sure you're going to put in the work, and everything's going to work out and be all right. And I think keep doing what you're doing, and you'll see the results and the fruits of the labor back at the end of the day. Because I guess when you're always stuck in the slums, and when you're thinking about should I do that extra tattoo, extra test, is it going to pay dividends in the exam? And I think just knuckle down, and for me, hard work is always going to trump, I guess, talent at the end of the day.
Consistency is key. Agreed. Any last few words from you, or anything we didn't discuss that you'd like the audience to know?
No, I think audience-wise, Future Growth our team is looking to grow. So if anything that I've said interests you in the private equity venture capital space, happy to connect and take the conversation further if this is of interest to you.
I don't get job opportunities on these lives often, so take it as it comes. I think that's a good way to end. The show has been live on YouTube and should be available on podcast by tomorrow. If you're watching on YouTube or the podcast and you feel that it's added value, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on that notification bell to get automatically notified when the next episode comes out. Fareez, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Uwais. It's been great. Enjoy
Thanks
the rest
everyone
of
for
the
joining
evening.
us for another episode of Two Ways to Skin a Cat. Goodbye.